And my first guest this morning, Aparna Nancherla, is a stand-up comedian, and you've probably seen some of her comedy on HBO and Netflix. But now she's both comedian and author. Her new book is called Unreliable Narrator: Me, Myself, and Impostor Syndrome. She's got an event tonight at Washington Hall, but first, she's here with us on the New Day couch. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I gotta ask, how did you get into stand-up?
I mean, it was definitely not, something I thought I would get into, but I got more interested in comedy in high school and started watching more of it. And then weirdly, in college was when the first time I tried it, and it was, probably, this isn't most people's paths, but I was coming off of a depression diagnosis.
Oh, geez.
And I had just gone on antidepressants, and I think sometimes that initial honeymoon period when you first go on meds.
You're like, oh, this feels so good.
Totally, and I was like, I could try anything, even, I don't know, stand-up comedy, and then there I was at an open mic.
I feel like comedians, one thing, with gift that comedians have is taking those kind of hard moments in life, right? And making, not light of them, but pointing out how hard it can be, but also to poke fun at ourselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I talk a lot about my anxiety and depression in my act, and for me, sometimes it just allows me a little space from those things just because they can take up so much of my brain, and making it into a joke, it takes a little bit out of the gravity out of it sometimes.
So true, it makes sense. So let's talk about imposter syndrome, which is part of the title of your book.
Yes.
I've felt that. Shoot, I feel that sometimes every day.
For sure.
Why are you writing about it, though?
I decided to write a book about imposter syndrome, kind of similar to the way I started talking about mental health in my act, which is that I was struggling with it pretty acutely in my day-to-day life. Like, I had been doing comedy for a little over a decade, and I had noticed, like, the more success I had gotten, the worse my self-doubt had gotten. And I think that led to kind of a crisis of confidence of like, oh, if the more things I'm getting that I was working towards are just making me feel worse inside, like, what is that about? So I decided to, I was like, if my self-doubt has so much to say, why doesn't it do some work and write a book?
I like that.
Yeah.
Put that self-doubt to work.
Yeah,
I'm here for that. So tell us about the book and your process of writing it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely took me a while. I think it was like 3.5 years. The pandemic was neatly sandwiched in there, so I think that gave me a lot of alone time to really process and get that writing time in. But yeah, I mean, I actually took a big backseat to performing while I was writing it. It just felt like such an internal book where I really had to wrestle with some insecurities and like where they came from and where a lot of my self-doubt originated. And so I think it was a lot to do that and get on stage every night and kind of be very vulnerable with strangers.
I was going to ask you, because I know a couple of people who've written books and memoirs specifically, and it is a very emotional experience. My aunt, she's in the middle of writing hers right now, and literally she's crying every time she talks about it. So, so you had to say, let's put the stage stuff on hold for a while.
Yes, because I think for me, especially writing a book, as you said, it's already such an intimate personal process, especially if you're doing memoir or something that's, taken from your real life. But then on top of that, I was writing specifically about like my insecurities, and I continually kept running into the question of like, oh, you want to write a book about imposter syndrome? Who are you to write a book about imposter syndrome?
I know.
Yeah.
I love that. I have to say, I mean, that is, it's so true, and it's such a funny thing because it's hard that when we deal with this. And so when I look at the book, I'm asking, when someone else reads this, what do you hope they get from it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to why I do stand-up. I think I live very much inside my head, and it's kind of an attempt to translate what's going on inside onto the page and hopefully meet other people in the middle, because I think a lot of times, when you're in your own head, you are like, no one else could possibly understand what I'm going through. And I think trying to get some of it out there into the world and realizing other people are very much having the same experience in their heads can be, a little freeing for your own,
But, the difference is we're not all on stage in front of a crowd of people.
That's true.
So what happens, like, when you're on stage and, like, a joke doesn't land? What do you do? Does it start eating at you inside, or you go, move on, go to the next thing?
I mean, it always stings, but I think just doing stand-up long enough, you do develop a bit of a thicker skin, or you stop seeing it as like every little joke that doesn't work is some sort of implicit judgment of you and your abilities. It's like sometimes the crowd is off, sometimes you're off, sometimes it's just like that joke is not right for that crowd. Like there's so many factors that don't have to do with like your skill level or
It's not you.
Yeah.
It's the audience.
It's never you.
So speaking of audience, I don't know if our audiences have seen you, so kind of describe what is your comedy style? Where do you draw some of your inspiration from?
Yeah, I mean, one time someone described my comedy style as thoughtful goofiness, and I feel like that captures it well, where it's like, can be pretty heady and like cerebral, but then it is like, it takes a lot of absurdist turns and just, it goes into, it'll be like me talking about some slight I encountered from a barista or something and how I viewed the interaction versus like what actually happened. And I think just like I'm saying, the way my brain kind of meets the rest of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
I started the show talking about laughter because I do think it's important, and I do think we just get in the minutia of things and we forget to laugh every day. What is your perception of laughter and how it affects our lives?
Yeah, as a comedian, I think I'm a little spoiled because I get to be in so many environments where laughter is just the norm and everyone's getting it. But I think in that way, I also now have a higher standard for what it takes to make me laugh.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's still like the silliest stuff. It'll be like someone running into a wall, and then you'll be like, oh, great, I could never write something that's still just as funny as someone walking into a window.
I mean, it really is funny.
Yeah.
When we say, you don't want to laugh, but you do. All right, before I let you go, tell us about the event tonight.
Yes, so I'm doing a stand-up show at Washington Hall tonight, and it's in support of the book, Unreliable Narrator, but I would say the show is more just my stand-up and kind of a snapshot of where I am in my life right now, but I will also be signing the book afterwards and saying hi to folks.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for getting up early and being on our couch. We appreciate it. And just like she said, Aparna is holding an author event tonight, Wednesday, September 27th at 7 p.m. at Washington Hall. Head to her website for ticket info.